Good morning. Let me try to adjust my camera real quick so that I can record without holding it. Okay. Good morning. I am 4 days post-op. I had my gastric bypass on Wednesday, October 18th. It is now Saturday, October the something. I wanted to go over a little bit how my surgery went and, little things that I went through post-surgery that y'all might be interested in. Going into surgery was very easy. I arrived, was brought back, was given a gown to change into, and they started an IV, and it was very simple. They rolled me into the OR. I was given the mask, the funny juice, and then I was out, which I got there at 7:30 and I was rolled back at 9:30, so it felt like it took forever, but at the same time it felt like it didn't take any time at all. So when I woke up, my throat was really, really dry. I guess, they intubate you or I don't know if that's the correct word, but they put something down your throat to make sure that your airways stay open while you're under anesthesia. And I'm just now getting my voice back. Like, for the past 3 days, I've had almost no voice. But, so I woke up and my throat really hurt. And I felt a little bit of pain, but not a lot. So they wheeled me into my room, and there was this big comfy recliner, and then there was the hospital bed. And I started off in the hospital bed, and then she was like, okay, we need to move you over to the recliner, probably an hour later. And so she moved me over to the recliner, and they took a blood sugar sample, or like they pricked my finger and did the blood sugar, and my blood sugar was high, but apparently this is pretty normal for after surgery. For some people, their blood sugar gets really high, and mine was, I think it was 170 something. So not like, it wasn't dangerously high, but it was higher than it should have been. This is another thing post-surgery that y'all are going to have, probably, is a little cough, and you'll get I wish that I had brought it into this room with me, but it's a thing that you breathe into. It's an incentive spirometer, I think it's called, and it helps get the junk out of your lungs, because after you've been under anesthesia, you have an increased risk of pneumonia. So let's see, where was I? Oh, okay, she moved me over to the recliner, and she said, do you want some ice chips? And I was like, oh my god, yes, my throat hurts so bad. So she gave me some ice chips, and I chomped on those, and I never had any nausea. I did have like a little pang of, okay, you've had enough, don't eat any more, but not really the nausea. And after that, I ended up falling asleep in the recliner, because the recliner was actually more comfortable than the bed. And the nurse kind of laughed when that was my choice to sleep there, because she said a lot of people say that the recliners are more comfortable. So I did not sleep in the hospital bed, except for that first little time after coming back from recovery. And it was not long after that where she was like, you ready to walk? And I was like, sure, why not? We'll do a lap. I have to tell you, all of my nurses were really, really super sweet and super nice. They didn't give me a choice about whether or not I was going to walk. It wasn't are you ready to walk? It was all right, let's get walking. And, they'd set a goal for me, like 1 time around the nurse's station, and then 2 times around the nurse's station. So the first time I went around the nurse's station, I was okay. And I fell back asleep almost immediately once I got back into the room. The second time I went around, and then afterwards, I started really feeling pain. And so, they hooked me up with some pain medications. And somewhere in there, I had some medicine shot for the high blood sugar. And I also had a shot for heparin because I've had suspected blood clots in my legs before. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. This is something that you're going to do a lot after surgery, too. It's a lot of burping and a lot of flatulence, farting, whatever you want to call it. Let me get some of this. So, I had my pain meds, and really I was okay. That was probably the worst part of the pain while in the hospital, because I guess they were trying to gauge how often I needed the pain medication. But they were like, anytime you feel anything over a 4, then, you know, let us know so that we can get you pain medication. And I'm like, oh, how exactly do you explain the difference between like a 4 and a 6? Like, I don't know. I was just kind of confused by the whole thing. But anytime I just started feeling a little more pain than I was comfortable with dealing with, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling a 4. It's a 4. Somebody. But anyways, so I stayed that night in the hospital, and they did get me up. They did get me walking. They made sure that I had pain meds. They did do labs on me, but honestly, I wasn't aggravated by any of that. Normally I would have been, you know, getting woken up to be poked and made to walk, but I understood why. And the reason for the walking is not just for making sure that you don't get blood clots, but it's also to help with the gas. And let me tell you, I was walking down those hallways like, like, have you ever seen little old people walk and like they do the little poots as they walk? It was kind of funny. And then I kept burping, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to the nurse, because she was walking with me. And she was like, no, that's what we want to hear. Keep going, keep going. And I was like, okay. So I saw the doctor. Well, okay, the next morning about 8 o'clock in the morning, they came and got me to drink this stuff that lights up your insides. And I went down and they checked and made sure that everything was flowing the way that it was supposed to, and that, you know, there were no leaks, there was nothing to worry about, and everything looked great. And so my doctor was like, yeah, you can go home today. So my mom came and picked me up after, it was like 1, I think it was, because they wanted to get the labs back, and I got my blood checked 2 more times. You had to have 3 normal blood sugar checks in order to be able to go home, which I did after those first 2 that were kind of high, but those 2 were done like back to back. After that, I had 3 more done, and all 3 of those came back and they were fine. So I was good to go. So I came home, and the nurse had warned me. She said day 3 after surgery is going to be your hardest day, because that's when the anesthesia and everything is kind of coming out of your system. And I was like, okay, well, at least I'll be at home, and, you know, I can deal with it in my own house, and it'll be less stressful than being in a hospital where you're getting woken up every hour. And so that second day that I had gone home, you know, my mom picked me up, she dropped me off at home. My daughter took some time off from school to be with me. And I just slept, like, most of it. I woke up, I would do my steps, and I would eat popsicles. Popsicles have been, like, my favorite thing. And then just sleep. That was a lot of my day. So yesterday was my 3rd day post-op, and she wasn't kidding. The pain really did kind of kick in, but I stayed on top of it. I had morphine, I don't know, some kind of really good painkillers, and so I was taking those, and I was taking my anti-nausea meds, and still trying to get my sips in, because I know how important those are. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do one now. And it was just kind of miserable yesterday. Like, it was harder for me to get around. But today, this is my 4th day post-op, and I have not taken any pain medications since, I think, 2 a.m., and it's around 8 or 9 now. I'll probably take some in a little bit because I'm starting to feel it a bit, but I won't need to take it every 4 hours like I was before, and I don't feel nauseous at all. So that's really what my post-op recovery has been like. If you have any questions, please leave them below. It may take me time to get to them because I honestly have been exhausted. And so I've just kind of been laying around watching TV, not doing much of anything else. So give me some time if you do have some questions. And I miss you guys. I can't wait to start up some more videos. I have a bunch of different ideas in mind, so that'll be fun. And everyone that had surgery this past week, the same time as me, let me know how you're doing, okay? And for those of you that have surgery coming up, let me know how you're doing. Everybody, let me know how you're doing. All right, bye.